Hi, church. My name's Clarisse,
And I'm Eddie.
and we're here today to share a little with you about how we've been doing in the midst of this COVID-19 situation and what faith has meant to us in the midst of it. So I guess I'll start. So for me, in terms of how I've been doing, I think we're definitely in a season of trying to find and establish good new rhythms, as I'm sure all of us are. I think especially with the school closures recently, I've been joking with a lot of friends that I've always wanted to try my hand at homeschooling, but I never really anticipated that I would have to do that while also trying to hold down a full-time job. So that's definitely been a challenge and kind of a source of stress, and we're sort of in the growing pains of that right now. So that's kind of how we've been. In terms of what my faith has meant to me in the midst of all that's been going on around us, I think more than anything else, the situation with the coronavirus has really driven me to prayer, not as a placebo or some kind of self-care or self-help technique, but more just because I've really deepened in my conviction that as the people of God, our prayers have power. And I think especially I've been reminded recently of the story of Moses in the Bible where just based on his prayer of intercession, changed kind of the course of human history, in that he was able to have God refrain from bringing calamity on the Israelites. And I think so for me right now, as a person of faith, I've really felt the call to just pray and seek God's intervention in a situation that has felt really desperate, and where I feel like we've definitely come to the end of our resources on a human level. And so I think that's been kind of what faith has meant to me.
And for me, in terms of what it means to have faith in the midst of the COVID-19 situation, that's an interesting question. I've had some trials that I've dealt with over the past few years that have really tested me, and that frankly I feel like have been very successful at eroding my faith. But even in the midst of that, I've learned some lessons through those issues that I think have been really helpful and applicable to me during this health crisis. I think the biggest lesson I learned through those trials is that God does, give protection and provisions in those situations, but it never feels bountiful or abundant. Instead, it always feels like it puts me, right on that fence of either feeling like if I look one way, it feels like a free fall. If I look the other way, there's solid and steady ground ahead. And when I'm on that fence, I feel like it's not necessarily the prayer that I say out loud, but I know that the true desire of my heart is, God, just give me a little bit more provision, and then I can rest. Then I can feel safe. And that little bit never seems to come. Instead, it feels like God is inviting me to trust Him right there where I am. I think that's also been playing out these past few weeks. I see that same pattern where I'm looking forward to the day when this is all over, when we found a vaccine, or we've turned the tide on the infection rate, and then I can go back to my real life. But I'm trying to change my perspective to see that this is my real life, that I don't need to look to a year out or 18 months or whatever it is to try and find peace and rest. That actually the whole point is for me to find peace and rest today, because it doesn't depend on anything changing. It just depends on me and my relationship with God. So, yeah, that's it.